You know, some stories, some lives, they feel bigger than time itself. They become legends, spoken with this incredible sense of awe. Today, we're going to talk about one of those lives, a revered master whose spirit and skill created a legacy in sacred metal, a legacy that still inspires this deep, unwavering faith. So our story begins right here, inside the secret grounds of Wat Suthat Thep Wararam. Now, this isn't just any temple. Think of it as a grand stage for faith, a sanctuary where kings have prayed and where the highest forms of Buddhist art have been perfected over centuries. You can just feel the history in the air. And within this incredible place, one particular creation is held above all others, the Phra Kring. It's often called the emperor of all caste amulets. You see, to create one isn't just about metalwork. It's about mastering both the physical and the spiritual worlds. And to inherit that tradition, well, that's a heavy divine legacy, one that was destined for a very special young man. His name at birth was Sonthi Pongkrawi, but the world would come to know him as Chao Khun Sri. And his journey, it wasn't one he simply chose. It really feels like it was a path that was written in the stars for him, foretold by the heaven. So let's look at how it all started. He was born in 1903, and by the time he was just 11 years old, he arrived at the gates of Wat Suthat. Only 2 years later, he was a novice monk, beginning a quiet life of study. But even then, you get the sense that fate had something much, much bigger planned for him, and it was about to be revealed. And here it is, the moment that changed everything. He was studying under the great master Chao Khun Phutta with Hinayok. The master looked right at the young novice and basically declared his destiny. It wasn't a suggestion, it was a prophecy. He must become a great teacher. With those words, his future was sealed. But, a destiny like that, it's never an easy path. Before he could become a great teacher, he had to face a great test. And this test wasn't of his mind, but of his body and his spirit, a brush with death that would change him forever. On July 8, 1926, something terrible happened. Out of nowhere, a senseless, violent attack left him severely injured, his body just broken. For 3 long months, he was close to death. Everything, his future, that prophecy, was all just hanging by a thread. But he survived. When he finally returned to Wat Suthat, he knelt before his master, the Supreme Patriarch Phra. The patriarch placed his hands on his head, blew a blessing on him 3 times, and spoke these incredibly powerful words. It was like a sacred shield, a divine promise of protection that would follow him for the rest of his life. He had literally walked through death's door and come out reborn. So now, wrapped in this divine grace, Chao Khun Sri was finally ready. He was ready to receive the deepest, most secret knowledge of his lineage. He was about to become a master of sacred arts, the keeper of an ancient and mystical kind of alchemy. The Supreme Patriarch saw that he was the only one worthy of this great responsibility. And so he passed down the complete knowledge of how to create the Phra Kring. This was a sacred science that very few people in history have ever truly mastered. He became the sole heir to it all. And this is at the very heart of his art. It's the ancient formula of Navaloha, the 9 sacred metals. It's not just a recipe, it's this incredibly precise, mystical combination where every single metal has a spiritual purpose. Gold for authority, silver for purity, and other rare metals, all brought together in this perfect divine balance. Now, out of all those metals, there's one that just seems to defy all logic: mercury. Normally, if you heat mercury, it just turns to vapor and disappears, right? But through this amazing secret process called Paro Awesome, using special herbs and sacred chants, Chao Khun Sri could actually tame it. He could stop it from evaporating and bind its spirit to the other metals. This wasn't just metalworking. This was straight-up spiritual alchemy. So, with this incredible knowledge perfected and his spirit strengthened by everything he'd been through, Chao Khun Sri turned to his final and greatest purpose. It was a promise he made to the place where he was born, a final act of devotion for his own people. So when he announced he was going to cast a great Buddha statue for his hometown, people came from everywhere. Their faith was so strong, they donated so much gold, silver, and other precious metals that there was a huge surplus. And he looked at all these offerings and gave it a beautiful name, Thongdee, which means divine gold, because he knew it wasn't just metal, it was the people's faith made solid. And look, here is the result of all that faith. That's Chao Sri with the Luang Pu Sri Mongkol Nimit, the beautiful Buddha he cast for his homeland. And when you see him sitting there, he doesn't look like a creator, does he? He looks like a humble servant who just helped channel the devotion of thousands into this timeless, holy form. Now, what makes this even more unbelievable is that while he was doing all of this, he was terribly sick. He had tuberculosis, and it was getting worse. It left him so weak he could barely even sit up. But he just pushed his body to the absolute limit. He refused to stop until his promise to his people was fulfilled. And from that one man's vision, this magnificent temple, the Ubosat of Wat Sri Chomtong, rose up in his hometown. He actually didn't live long enough to see it completely finished, but he laid the foundation of faith that it stands on to this very day.
You know, in our modern world, we always try to put a price tag on things. Today, one of his most beautiful Phra Kring amulets, made with that same secret knowledge, can be worth around 300,000 baht. It's a number from our world that tries to capture a value that is, well, otherworldly.
But his real value, of course, isn't measured in money. It's measured in this enduring faith. Even today, at the temple he helped build, people still kneel before his image. They light incense, they offer prayers, and they keep his spirit and his incredible story alive for a whole new generation. So when you look at a life filled with destiny, with trials, with so much sacrifice and creation, it really makes you think, doesn't it? What is a true legacy really, if not the virtue that gets forged, not in metal, but in the hearts of other people, where it can live on forever?